Today I'm reacting to your Friday Night SmackDown Hot Takes. Hot Takes is a weekly video series where I give you all a platform to be able to voice your thoughts, whether those are good thoughts, bad thoughts, or everything in between about the world of professional wrestling. So if you'd like to be featured in the next episode of Hot Takes, make sure that you're following me over on X because I ask for your hot takes there after every episode of Raw, SmackDown, and every single WWE Premium Live event. By the way, if you are looking for our review of this particular episode of Friday Night SmackDown with footage so that you can see exactly what it is that we're talking about, that's already up and available over on patreon.com/SantiZab. Over there, you're going to get the Raw reviews, SmackDown reviews, and you're going to get the Clash in Paris review live with footage. So go check it out. Link in the description, link in the pinned comment. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, ring the bell for notifications. If you're a wrestling fan, I'm confident you're going to fall in love with his YouTube channel because we always upload daily wrestling content. All right, that's enough. Let's see what you guys sent in. I love how John Cena apologized to the kid for his first heel promo in Brussels. It was a heartwarming full circle moment. Listen, man, I am an adult, pushing 30 with white in his beard, and I am jealous of this child that he got to have so many cool interactions with John Cena. He got to get roasted by heel John Cena, and then he got to have the full circle heartwarming moment with babyface John Cena, the hero of all heroes. But dude, yeah, what a great moment that was. What a great moment to truly signify that the John Cena that we know and we love is back on our screens. And yeah, of course, we've known that now for the last couple of weeks with his promos and whatnot, but it was nice to get this physical representation that the John Cena that we grew up with, the hustle, loyalty, and respect, is back on our screens. And not only was it a great visual representation that we have the John Cena that we know and love, but it's also a stark visual comparison of John Cena versus Logan Paul, doing something that Logan Paul probably never would. Actually, no, that's a lie, because Logan Paul broke that guy's Polaroid, literally like Gronkowski slammed it onto the ground, and then he invited him to his wedding. Shout out to Anthony for getting that invite. God damn it, I'm jealous of Anthony and the little kid from Brussels. Great moment, nonetheless, one of my favorite moments of the night. My optimism with Sami Zayn paid off. Hopefully this continues, and as a champion, he's no longer an underdog, and we get some new feuds and character development for him. I'm excited for the future. We're gonna talk a lot more about Sami Zayn because most of the feedback that we received about Sami Zayn's US Championship victory was mostly negative, so I wanted to start with the positive, which is this take right here. And I agree, I am excited for the future of the United States Championship. I'm excited for the idea that it's not somebody from the bloodline that is holding the title. Actually, I guess that's a lie. He is an honorary Uso, so it's possible that this might stay in the bloodline vortex, but I'm very hopeful that he could take this championship, do different things, face off against new opponents, and maybe do an open challenge where John Cena answers the call. Now, we're talking about full circle moments. That would be an awesome full circle moment. But I am glad that right before this championship victory that Sami Zayn shed this facade, this fake ass mask of the underdog, saying, no, this is champion WrestleMania main event caliber Sami Zayn moving forward. And now that he has made that clear, he has won a title, I can actually get behind this. Because let's face it, the whole underdog shtick, it wasn't working because it wasn't booked appropriately, because we had this underdog that was booked like not an underdog at all, but his character and the way that he spoke was that of an underdog. There was always a major disconnect between those two. But now that we have a confident Sami Zayn, a champion Sami Zayn, I'm excited to see what there is to do next, even if I don't necessarily love the execution of this championship transfer. But there, my problems don't lie with the booking of Sami Zayn winning the championship. If anything, and we'll talk more about this later on, is the booking of Solo Sikoa and how he went on to lose. Which I know those are two similar sides of the same coin, but they're also different at the same time. So even though I was shocked by Sami Zayn's victory, I thought that there was still a lot more meat to the bone of MFT and Solo Sikoa as United States champion. I'm looking forward to the future, and I'm open-minded about this. I don't get Sami's character at all. He had a shot at the world title and turned it down, even though winning a world title was his whole goal. Then he moves to SmackDown chasing gold and ends up with a mid-card title again. This storyline with Cross ruined him. I don't think the storyline with Cross ruined him. I think the storyline with Cross did nothing at all for his character. Had the story with Cross unlocked this vicious main event WrestleMania caliber Sami Zayn, then the transition would have made a lot more sense for him winning here, and maybe it wouldn't have made Cross's exit feel so empty. The problem was that character development didn't actually happen at all during the Sami Zayn and Karrion Kross feud whatsoever. But yeah, the character motivations of Sami Zayn seem to just sort of be switched on the whim of wherever it is that the booker Triple H wants him to be at, and going from the World Championship and the motivation of stopping Seth Rollins from bullying the Monday Night Raw roster and threatening them and taking over, all of a sudden just disappeared overnight, and his interest went from world title gold to US title, which, like, that's not entirely uncommon in the WWE to go from a world championship feud to the mid-card. I mean, Seth Rollins did it, for goodness sakes, but the problem is that the shift was just not natural at all. It was really just light on, light off, total different motivations from one day to the other that made it difficult for us to really get used to this transition. That once again goes with the booking of Sami Zayn recently doesn't really match the character output that we've been getting on screen. It's really unbalanced. Now, I'm hoping that now that he's a champion, that he isn't this underdog, pretend underdog, that he's a guy that knows himself to be a main eventer, then now we can be a lot more direction and focused with Sami Zayn, as opposed to being all over the place and being wishy-washy with his character as to when he's an underdog and when he's not. This was just kind of random. I don't know how to really feel about it. Surprising for sure, but somehow feels a little forced. So I was asking myself, why did it feel random? Why did it feel forced? Why did it feel, even to a degree, a little bit underwhelming, even if the pop in France was crazy? And I think I know why. Normally, when you win a championship, you win it from a champion that is scary. You win it from a champion that is a threat. You win it from a champion that should be, in theory, very difficult to dethrone, so that when you do dethrone them, it is this big magical moment and the transfer of power goes from one powerful champion to a new, powerful, brand new champion. But the problem is that they didn't do that. Instead, they had Solo Sikoa eat pin after pin after pin to Sami Zayn. So Sami Zayn won the championship not from a strong champion, not from a champion that was hard to dethrone, not from a guy that were like, oh my goodness, Sami Zayn, I don't know how he pulled that off, but from a guy that he had already beaten 2 times prior to beating him a 3rd time. So what I'm saying is that the championship transfer just doesn't feel exciting because the champion and his reign wasn't exciting at all whatsoever. And for me, the championship transfer was a little bit jarring and surprising, because normally I follow the laws of 3 in the WWE. Solo lost the first match, Solo lost the second match, and I thought, the dastardly Solo was gonna get his win on the 3rd attempt, but no, he just lost 3 times in a row. So because of that, the lack of proper booking for Solo Sikoa as a strong champion, it made the championship transfer, instead of me going, whoa, holy crap, that's crazy, to me going, oh, okay, I suppose. And again, that goes not towards the bad booking of Sami Zayn, like people are saying. I think if anything, it's more indicative of the bad booking of Solo Sikoa and MFT as champions. Sami winning the United States title is very similar to when Jay won the Intercontinental title. They're testing a mid-card champion run, potentially before putting the world title on him. Sami winning the Rumble / Chamber / King of the Ring is becoming a serious possibility. I actually think that this is a really, really excellent point. I didn't initially make that connection until you brought it up here. That may be what's going on here. It's very similar because Jey Uso's championship win also kind of came out of nowhere on a random episode of Monday Night Raw, just like how this seemingly came out of nowhere on a random episode of Friday Night SmackDown. And we know that the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia is coming up, and many people, and probably like sports betting websites, are going to have Sami Zayn as the favorite, or at least one of the top 3 favorites to win the Royal Rumble and go on to main event WrestleMania, which, by the way, this is his character. I don't think that it's completely a coincidence that he says, I'm the WrestleMania main eventer Sami Zayn. He goes on to win the mid-card title, proves to be an asset as a mid-card champion, goes on to win the Royal Rumble to go and main event WrestleMania again. So yeah, this might just be testing the waters, warming the gears up before a proper Sami Zayn World Heavyweight Championship push. And hey, that would be kind of full circle and would kind of shut the mouths of so many people that are saying, well, his motivation was world champion. Why does he all of a sudden care about the US championship? Maybe the end goal here is a world championship run from Sami Zayn, and we're just too early on in what might be long-term storytelling for us to really see the end goal, the vision here. The vision, which might be the faction faction he goes up against in WrestleMania season to win the World Heavyweight Championship? I don't know. I'm just saying. I think this is a really good point. Dude, this just is never worth it. That is insane. It's shaking. The camera is shaking.
Again, trying to one-up it.
Oh! Holy Jeff Hardy, Batman. B-M-E. Oh! That was a sneak peek of this week's Wrestling is Cool Match Club, available exclusively over on patreon.com/SantiZap. This week, we're looking at the SummerSlam 2000 tables, ladders, and chairs match. It's a crazy one. The match with the legendary crowd that was Cody Rhodes versus AJ Styles in Backlash France. A recent classic between Obafemi, Trick Williams, and Javon Evans at NXT Stand and Deliver. The street fight between Becky Lynch and Tiffany Stratton at NXT No Mercy. And a Texas death match over an AEW Collision between Hangman Adam Page and Christopher Daniels. You'll be getting all of this, plus the Raw review, SmackDown reviews, and every single series that we do that has footage that we can never post here because it would just get blocked due to copyright. So go check it out, link in the description or link in the pinned comment. If you try the Patreon even for just 1 month, I'm incredibly confident that you're gonna fall in love with it. If you're already a patron, thank you so much for your support. Without you, we wouldn't be able to do what we do as often as we do it, but let's get you back to the video. Sami winning is a great choice for the title, and it might get new feuds instead of the Bloodline Vortex. I would get that out of your head here for the next little while. I think it's going to be stuck in the Bloodline Vortex for some time. I think that Sami Zayn is going to be feuding with MFT here for the foreseeable future. I think that maybe even somewhere soon down the line, it might be Sami Zayn and Jimmy Uso, might be Sami Zayn and Jey Uso, but I think the most likely eventual Bloodline Vortex style feud that I could see is Sami Zayn versus Jacob Fatu. They eventually got along, but there was some animosity there at the beginning of their relationship, some animosity that might be foreshadowing to animosity that might grow even larger and bigger because maybe Jacob wants his championship back. So as much as I do want to see a world where Sami Zayn goes on to face the Aleister Blacks of the world, Damian Priest, whatever it might be, I think it's going to be a little while before that. I think that we are still in the eye of the storm that is the Bloodline Cyclone. I love what Bo Dallas is doing in the backstage segments. I would not be surprised if Bo dethrones Sami by the end of the year. We'll see about that. Again, I think Sami Zayn for the rest of 2025, I wouldn't be surprised if he's just facing more Bloodline members for that US title, but I also really did enjoy what was happening here with Bo Dallas being part of so many backstage segments with the tag team division, being this ever-looming presence. I love that he was Bo Dallas and not Uncle Howdy during these segments as well. It also felt very Karrion Kross-ish a little bit as he's kind of trying to poke and prod to see how are you gonna break? Are you actually gonna be able to prove your brotherhood to one another when there's animosity and when there's adversity placed in front of you? I like that. I like that he's already planting the seeds, maybe even, dare I say, a potential Street Profits split here. They did Kiana James so dirty. They could have just done the beatdown on Michin by having Julia and Kiana jump her from behind during her entrance. The quote match was so unnecessary. Yeah, I agree. If you were just gonna have Kiana James lose that quickly, what was the point of the match? I don't think that this got any awesome positive reaction for Michin at all whatsoever. I guess it did give us an excuse for a post-match beatdown, and I guess maybe it was two birds, one stone. We got to see some of the viciousness of Julia, and we got to see that beatdown while also giving Michin the United States Championship match. But I think we could have gotten probably to all of those without having to sacrifice Kiana James here. Kiana James, like moving forward, like you cannot take her seriously. You cannot take her seriously at all as a wrestler. And I don't think that that was the worst thing, but if you didn't want us to take her seriously as a wrestler and you just wanted us to focus on her services as a legal representation, marketing representation, whatever it might be, then she should have just been an out of the ring presence and manager for Julia as opposed to going out there to get rolled up. Man, I think that's so lame to pay the top dollar that these people in Lyon probably paid and they get a 2-second match. Like, I don't know, man, that's never gonna sit right with me. I just don't think that this quick roll-up victory accomplished more in a way where you couldn't have accomplished the same thing in a way where it didn't have to damage Kiana the way that it did. You gotta remember, that was Kiana's first televised match on Raw or SmackDown in like a year and a half, and that's her reintroduction. It's very reminiscent to what they did with Giovanni Vinci, and we know how that story ultimately ultimately turned out. This match should be on Clash in Paris. This is a PLE worthy match, and if they do it on SmackDown, I'm not gonna be happy. I think part of the problem here is that they already ran this match at something that's a quasi PLE at Saturday night's main event. It feels like they've already pulled the trigger on this, but I agree. This absolutely could be and should be in Clash in Paris. I think there's a good enough story and more than anything, more than enough star power to just warrant a big, like out of nowhere match. Like people would have been super hyped to have Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre on the card, even if it isn't the greatest build ever. I do think that they're probably setting us up for a big #1 contenders match. Winner gets Cody Rhodes at WrestlePalooza, or maybe a triple threat at WrestlePalooza. But when I look at the Clash in Paris card, even though they did add the tag team championship match to it, it could have used a little bit more fluffing, and Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre could have easily fluffed it a little bit more. Logan needs more respect for his wrestling and promo skills. Not many shut down crowds like that, not letting them take over, whether heel or face. And with a crowd like that, he didn't take his foot off the brakes. Very impressive. I agree. Now, we're now back-to-back weeks where Logan Paul has held his own against a very vicious crowd and hasn't gotten completely annihilated by John Cena to the point where there is no returning. Both weeks, he's gotten annihilated by John Cena because at the end of the day, he's still going up against John frickin' Cena, one of the greatest on the mic in the history of this industry, but he has survived the nuclear apocalypse. He is still alive, and thus he can continue and go on to Clash in Paris and be a genuine threat to John Cena and maybe even benefit from beating John Cena, whether it's with shenanigans or not, unlike Theory or Solo Sikoa. And it's off the back of the fact that Logan Paul has been able to, on his own accord, be able to cut good enough promos to weather the storm of both crazy crowds and John Cena. By the way, I love the line of from 6 seconds to 6 billion, of course, reference to his old Vine days. I think that went over a lot of people's heads. I really think Logan Paul has been doing a really great job, some of the best promo work of his career. I didn't like how Kiana James had no chance to have a proper match on her SmackDown debut. Guess they were trying to save time. At least Julia finally was featured on the show and was able to show her vicious side. Hopefully there will be more to come, and now we can have a proper feud. Sure, okay, we did it. We opened the can of ruining any ounce of credibility in the ring that Kiana James had. Okay, if that was the mission, okay, mission accomplished. But now we can get to the next mission, which should be to give Julia screen time. It is crazy that she has defending her championship once since winning it back in May, guys. We aren't talking about a champion that just won at SummerSlam or at Evolution. Like, we are talking about somebody that won months ago. We need to have her featured significantly more. And now that we've got the proper setup for the feud, I hope that once the feud with Michin takes off, once the feud is over, we can set up something quickly, immediately for Julia so that we aren't waiting for months and months and months for her next feud. Julia's too damn good to be kept on the bench. Like, that's just how it is. She's too damn good. Implode MFT already. It's the worst faction that I've seen in so long. I'm not there yet. I don't think that they need to implode it. I was genuinely enjoying, not necessarily loving, but enjoying what MFT was doing on SmackDown. More than anything, I really love Solo Sikoa's demeanor and his personality, and seeing it grow as the leader of MFT was maybe the best part of that. Maybe rather than imploding them, maybe we just switch brands with them and have them be the mid-card heel brand, a faction of Monday Night Raw, and move Judgment Day over to Friday Night SmackDown. I think more than anything, they just need a breath of fresh air and new opponents and a new brand on a new night on Netflix. It might be the way forward for MFT. I don't know if I'm in the minority here, but I really think Kiana losing that quick was better than her losing in a 2 to 3 minute match with little to no moves. I don't really think that she looks weak, just caught off guard since her bag didn't work. Okay, listen, I understand where you're coming from, and I said all of these same things about Giovanni Vinci when Gio Vinci was losing in 2 seconds. My logic was, hey, this is way more memorable than losing in, like you said, a 2 to 3 minute match. At the very least, we're gonna be talking about Giovanni Vinci, and it worked, but then WWE never followed up on it. Not only did they not follow up on it, they followed up in a way that we weren't expecting, which was him just ultimately being released. So I've been here before, and I've unfortunately seen it play out, and I'm confident in saying, because of the historical evidence that we already have with Gio Vinci, that this is just a bad call. Cena pointing out what the general audience hates about Logan Paul has enabled me to get into this feud. I think that's a really really smart point. I do think that a lot of people just immediately want nothing to do with Logan Paul because of the things that he has done outside of professional wrestling. And it has felt like WWE has treated a lot of those very public issues like they don't exist, like they're under the rug. They felt like they were taboo and no one would ever bring them up. So to have John Cena actually bring them up, to be something that he uses as a catalyst in the storyline to get you excited for the match, I think is really smart. And to me, it now makes Logan Paul feel like he's fair game, like he's one of the actual full-time wrestlers rather than this celebrity that you have to have kitty gloves on to interact with. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that it does make the storyline and the feud a lot more interesting, a lot more accessible, and a lot more real now that John Cena doesn't have those like metaphorical kitty gloves when dealing with Logan Paul, like seemingly every other WWE superstar that he has feuded with has to have on. Keeping in mind that the show was in Lyon, I expected them to give a bit more to the crowd to play with. It felt a bit like they were keen on cheering, but had very few moments to. I would agree. I don't feel like they did the crowd justice by giving them enough to demonstrate to the world why they were considered one of the greatest crowds of all time. They did give them the moment for Sami Zayn winning the United States Championship, but when you really look like head to toe the rest of the show, it was a lot of promo work, and it always does surprise me when WWE focuses on doing more promos in international markets where not everyone in the crowd can even understand what they're saying because English isn't their first language. I understand that a lot of people in France speak English, but it doesn't mean that everybody does. So I was expecting more of a focus on matches, and that is what I was expecting whether it was Lyon or not, because when I saw the card, we had 2 championship matches. We had the tag team championship match that was properly confirmed with Melody Miz and the Street Profits. I thought it was going to be a lot more heavy in the in-ring action, but they decided to focus a lot more on the promos, which I would have preferred for the Lyon crowd. The in-ring action would have given them more to chew on in terms of demonstrating how good of a crowd they are. I hate this, but I'm going to keep an open mind. And that's what I want to preach to people. I don't love this decision, but I'm optimistic that there's something here. There's something to like further down the line. So I am going to keep an open mind because a lot of people say that you have to be on one side or the other, right? Oh, if you don't like this, then don't watch wrestling anymore. Like, it doesn't have to be that way. You can not like something, but you can still give it a chance and allow it to play out. Look at that, ladies and gentlemen. The tag team championships are on a PLE and it's not one of the big 4. Yeah, that isn't being talked about enough. Awesome, right? That we actually are getting the best and most consistently well-booked division in all of WWE on back-to-back PLEs, and it's not SummerSlam and it's not WrestleMania. I think that this is a really good sign that WWE is going to continue to rely on their workhorses, that is the SmackDown Tag Team division, to fill out the card. Did I miss something? Where is Shinsuke Nakamura? Is he out with an injury or do they not have a storyline for him? As far as I know, I think he's good. I don't think that he's injured, but now that Sami Zayn is United States champion, I would love for them to revisit that. I don't think that it's going to be ever anywhere near as good in terms of in-ring work as it was back at NXT TakeOver Dallas, but it could be a nice callback and I think it could be a lot of fun. I think Ford is getting ready for a solo run. Along with this segment, his Instagram promos have been heavily hinting at a character change. Also, I don't see why they tried to randomly squeeze in a tag title match onto the card unless something of significance is happening. It is possible that maybe they heard the criticism that a 5-match card was underwhelming and they just decided to rely on good old faithful, the SmackDown Tag Team division, to give us one more match. But I do see where your logic is. It does feel like they did this really quickly and they did hint at a potential breakup of the Street Profits. It's possible that maybe they want to do that breakup in front of a really hot crowd. I wouldn't be surprised. Don't know if this is a hot take, but Chelsea Green is the workhorse of 2025. Chelsea Green is working in NXT with the next generation and helping build the tag team division. Oh yeah, I think you're 100% right. She is such a workhorse, and it's even more highlighted by the fact that she's been working the European tours of Raw, SmackDowns, and their house shows while also working NXT. So she's traveling like cross continents to do all of this work. Chelsea Green is awesome and deserves all of the loves that she's been getting. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching this episode of Hot Takes. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Goodbye. Get out of here.